Welcome to Lucas Oil on the Edge. This week coming to you from Chemberlain, South Dakota for some Unlimited Light Hydroplane Racing Association action. But before you think this is just NASCAR on the water going in circles, these guys are going to be full speed starts. Watch closely because if somebody leaves early, they're going to go to the back. Tonight, Lucas Oil on the Edge.
Got it tacked up, and if you get too close, you're getting cracked up. Stone cold when I roll, coming out of the hole. Get back, cause I'm out of control. I'm on the edge.
Welcome once again to Lucas Oil on the Edge. There's one of the machines we'll see out on the water competing here at the Pepsi Racing Power Cup Challenge, presented by River City Racing and General Tire. Ken Stout and John Lynch calling all the action for you today. The Unlimited Lights and the G-Boats or Thunderboats will be in competition here today, John.
4 laps, 5-mile heats all throughout the day. Great excitement and plenty of rooster tails for the fans to enjoy.
The starts are also very critical and maybe something a little different than what you're used to seeing. They'll also, of course, get a warm-up period. But now we're going to send it down to John Viev, who's standing lakeside.
Welcome to Lucas Oil on the Edge. This weekend we take a break from the dusty desert and the racetrack, and we come to you from the beautiful waters of the Missouri River in Chemberlain, South Dakota. That's right, we're following the thunder of the Unlimited Light hydroplanes. With an average length of 24 feet and powerful big block automotive engines, these babies generate massive amounts of horsepower and reach up to speeds of 150 miles per hour. Well, have we whet your appetite? I thought so. Let's get started.
Absolutely, we're ready to go racing. We'll start off with Unlimited Light heat number 1. These guys will actually run in 2 different heats, 4 heats altogether as the class has been separated into 2 different heats.
And not just these guys, it's these ladies. On the inside, Elizabeth Wolf. On the outside, that is Kaylee Perkins, the defending champion of this series.
I was just going to say, when you said ladies, not only is she a lady, but she's the defending champ. She knows how to wheel one of these things around here pretty good. Unfortunately, one day ago, we had a lot of weather out here, a lot of wind. That is one of the big adversaries here to these guys and gals. They have to be very careful with that. Aside from that, these things are just bad to the bone.
This sport is all about being able to see and being able to ride over the waves, not having too big of waves, so wind and fog are a problem. Otherwise, we can race wherever. That's Elizabeth Wolf on the inside. This is her first Unlimited Lights event. She's very experienced, but never running in this series before. And Kaylee Perkins, the defending champion. So the 2 ladies at the front of the pack.
And Kaylee taking that wide line, able to keep the momentum up, a nice smooth turn. Look at them dancing here, little spots and walk out there, but doing their job. Kaylee Perkins goes on to win this heat. Unfortunately for Elizabeth Wolf, she was penalized for starting too early. That put Mike Sadlin in second.
We're here on Lake Francis Case. And as you know, one of the things that makes boat racing so exciting but dangerous is the conditions of both the wind and the water. In fact, yesterday the winds were blowing up to 30 to 40 miles per hour. That makes things very dangerous for the driver. The wind gets under the boat and the boat flips. Well, today, that's a whole nother story. The wind's at 5 to 7 miles per hour. Perfect conditions for one of these guys to break a new speed record.
I'm not sure she's even working out there, just hanging out in the back of the boat. Come on!
Not a bad gig.
This On the Edge telecast is brought to you by Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world. And by General Tire, the official tire of living on the edge. And South Dakota Office of Tourism. Welcome back. The action's hot and heavy on the Missouri River here with Lucas Oil on the Edge. But right now, we're going to go back down to Jean Viev.
Hey, we're chatting with Kaylee Perkins, 2007 national champion. First, I want to talk about your year last year. What are some of the struggles you went through last year?
It was hard. Everybody kind of thought of me as that I was just going to be a big joke and going to go out and get in the way. But ended up surprising them all pretty good.
Why do you think they thought that?
I'm a girl, I'm young, and I really haven't been racing very long, so, they're expecting, oh, she's going to go out there and get in the way, and I'm going to have to run her over, and unfortunately that didn't happen.
What are your predictions here? Because obviously this is the first time that this river's been driven with these boats, right?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing venue. I've never come to a town on a first race and had this many fans already backing it and saying, we're coming back next year no matter what. mean, it's amazing water. You got a little bit of wind here, but right now the way it's blowing, it's actually going to help me, especially in this boat, because this boat likes a little bit of wind because it's kind of old and sometimes it can be a tub, but that wind just gets it up and makes it dance.
The Unlimited Light, heat number 2. Again, highlights here with a couple laps to go. Let's talk about the competition here, John.
Right here, Paul Becker, an airline pilot, a former Navy flyer, one of the best starters in Unlimited Lights Racing. On the outside, the winningest driver in Unlimited Lights Racing, Craig Hopp, just picked up his 18th career victory recently. And also this heat features J. Craig Fletcher in the orange and blue boat. Fletcher now in his 3rd season of racing. He and Becker both looking for their first ever wins.
They go 3 wide off the exit of this turn. Fletcher split the difference up between the two of them, but watch the big speed that Craig Hopp is carrying as he flexes a muscle in that blown machine. Supercharged power plant inside of that one, way on the inside, as you mentioned before. That is Becker, and Becker still carrying some great speed, but has to slow down a little bit as he runs that shorter distance. He runs very tight to the buoys.
Several years ago, Becker and Hopp were part of the same Hopp racing team. Then Becker bought a boat from the Hopps, and he formed his own team. This is his 2nd boat, and he's getting better all the time. But right now, Craig Hopp with the advantage.
Craig also shares driving duties inside of that boat with his father, Jerry. They've actually flip-flopped in and out of the seat for Heat 1 and this Heat 2. Boy, look at him just dancing on the outside, and on the inside, Becker providing plenty of challenge.
Craig Hopp, though, with the acceleration off of the exit pin, takes the victory.
Sweet sounding machines out there getting it done, so it is Craig Hopp, followed by Paul Becker, and then, of course, J. Craig Fletcher rounded out the top 3 in Heat number 2 for that division. Coming up, the last chance qualifier. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back to Lucas Oil on the Edge, the last chance qualifier coming up here with the ULHRA Pepsi Racing Power Cup Challenge. All the action happening here on the Missouri River. Great side-by-side action. Of course, this is our last chance to get into the A main.
They're in a 5-minute warm-up period. They have to hit the start right at 0 in their lane of choice at full throttle to make a perfect start. Will Muncie on the inside, Elizabeth Wolf on the outside. Will Muncie, yes, son of the most famous race driver in hydroplane history.
And Fletcher way on the inside there, a little bit early, so he had to get out of the throttle. He doesn't want to jump the start. Elizabeth has already jumped the start one time today. That's why she was penalized. Otherwise, there's a good chance she would already be in the A main, but she's going for it right there. Look at that thing sponson walking. By the way, these are single prop driven machines. In drag boat racing, they use 2 ear props. In this form of boat racing, they use 3 ears, but they all create lift so that they can pick the back of the boat up out of the water, and there's a nice pocket of air underneath that entire hull.
Deck-to-deck racing down the backstretch. It doesn't get any better than Will Muncie on the inside and Elizabeth Wolf on the outside. Very evenly matched boats. 2 talented drivers, about 25 years of experience apart.
Awesome stuff. Look at these guys, and this is actually pretty good conditions out here. They like a little chop so that these things will bounce and get up out of the water. Water creates drag, and they want as little drag as possible.
It's a 4-lap heat, meaning 5 miles.
Woo!
All Unlimited Lights races are 5 miles in duration, and yes, as you can see, Elizabeth Wolf got a little bit out of the water there on that front stretch.
That just has to be an eerie feeling for the drivers who are hanging it out on the very edge. Everything gets quiet, everything gets smooth, and they have to know they're right there on the verge of going over.
They're looking at marker points down at the end of the course to know when they're on course, and they know if all they see is blue sky, that's a problem.
By the way, these boats have turning fins on them. You can kind of see it there at the back of the left sponson. They also have the rudder in the back as well, correct, John?
That is correct. It's on the transom, and you see a lot of water being kicked up from the centrifugal force of that turn fin carving around the turn. You see Will Muncie in front and Elizabeth Wolf in second place, but those boats are handling ideally. They're practically flying over the water.
And Muncie really doing a great job. Even though he's on the inside lane, you can see he really picked up a lot of distance at the exit of turn number 2. They go back into turn number 1. Elizabeth on the outside trying to carry that momentum and close the gap, but Muncie doing a great job so far.
Holding that inside line, Muncie down the backstretch. They are deck to deck again with Elizabeth Wolf popping out with that high boat speed going down the backstretch coming off of the turn.
And John, we were talking about this previously, but these boats handle much better these days than they did in the older days. Now it's all about running the turn as fast as possible.
In the old front engine days, they'd go down the straightaway and just try to figure out a way to get around the turn. Now they carve the turn like a slalom skier, and it's Will Muncie on the inside and Elizabeth Wolf on the outside.
And as we enter the final lap here, the LCQ, Elizabeth, closest to us now. That boat all but in the water. It is definitely dancing out there in the danger zone. And Muncie's boat planted in the water. Very solid, looks very good. And when he comes off the exit of these turns, he's carrying a lot of speed. Unless something happens here for Elizabeth, John, I think Muncie might hang on to this deal.
It's a Donnybrook of a race down the backstretch here in the final lap with Muncie on the inside and Wolf on the outside. Exactly what these fans came here to see. Deck-to-deck racing at Chemberlain, Oklahoma.
Coming through the final turn here, turn number 2 on the last lap of the last chance qualifier. Both boats trying to make it into the A main. Elizabeth Wolf on the outside, and she's got a great run on Muncie. She's going to hang on and cross the stripe first.
Oh no, the officials just let us know Elizabeth Wolf jumped the gun. That's a 1-minute penalty. She's out of the final heat.
And that means Will Muncie will hang on for the win here as he was the next guy across the stripe.
All right, Will, so tell me how you felt about your run there today.
It was a great ride. It was a great ride. And it was very close, and coincidentally, it's against a teammate, Elizabeth Wolf, who was an excellent job of driving. Excellent job. It was a great ride. It's kind of lumpy. The back chute is a lot faster than the front chute, so you got to be kind of wary of that. And Elizabeth is no slouch. She wouldn't back off. I heard that she jumped the gun, but you never want to trust that. And she wasn't backing off at all. I said, go away, but she wouldn't go away. So it's kind of like, you don't take your foot off the pedal ever. I mean, she could have, and it might have been legitimate, but she wouldn't do that. So anyway, it was a good race on my side of the...
When we come back, it'll be A mains, including these guys, the Thunderboats. Stay with us.
As you've seen, these competitive hydroplanes have a ton of horsepower under the hood. But what about the outside, the body of the boat? Lucas Slick Mist makes it easy. Spray it on wet or dry surfaces and wipe it off in one application. It shines and polishes. In fact, with Slick Mist, you can shine any machine really quick with an extreme gloss. Lucas, it works.
Absolutely, we use it on our race car every chance we get. Looks great. Okay, let's go to the A main for the Thunderboat finals. These things are drastically different than what we saw previously, John.
All supercharged, big blocks up to 575 cubic inches. These boats can pull up to 1,600 horsepower. And you've got Dustin Eccles on the inside, Marty Wolf in the middle, and R.W. Dick Lynch on the outside.
And again, the start here is critical. That's why they're going a little slower. The last thing they want to do in the A main is jump the start and get penalized a minute. It could take a win away from you.
Timing is everything. Hit it right and you go to the win. Hit it wrong, you're done. Marty Wolf hits it right on the money with Dustin Eccles inside and R.W. Dick Lynch on the outside.
Marty Wolf with a great start right there, and boy, that gave him a huge advantage. We'll find out if he can hang on to that, but I mean, in terms of racing, you'd have to think that is exactly what you're hoping to do.
Look at that 1,600 horsepower. That's the difference between the Thunderboats and the Unlimited Lights. They've got the top end speed. These boats are a little bit bigger than the Unlimited Lights, and they really fly through those turns. Dustin Eccles in second, Marty Wolf with the advantage right now.
And Eccles really got some roost or some spray up over the windshield. Looked like the boat got unhappy. He was actually making up some ground there. Oh, man, and look at Wolf flying that boat.
1,600 horsepower out of his own engine company, Wolf Racing Engines. Marty Wolf with the advantage out of Crete, Illinois. Dustin Eccles trying to stay close, but right now it's all Marty Wolf here in the Thunderboat final.
Wolf Racing presents Traffic Gate, a nice looking ride as well. You can see the hood scoop up over the top of the capsule, feeding some fresh air down into that power plant.
This is a boat that was inactive for over a decade. Marty and his team owner, Dennis Johnson of Traffic Gate, just acquired this boat a few weeks ago. And look at him go, straight to the front of the pack.
Low, wide, sleek. Man, that thing looks awesome. Keep in mind, these do have capsules on them like the drag boats, but they're not breakaway capsules. The driver's much, much safer than they were in the old days. Remember when these guys were riding open cockpits?
Oh, yes, and we lost a lot of drivers in those days. We've only lost one since 1982 after the capsules were introduced. And they're on air, they're tied in by radio to their crew. They have all kinds of safety equipment built in.
Great sound right there out of the zoomies. You talked about them being supercharged. They do have spotters on the shore. That'll let them know if somebody's underneath them or somebody's on the outside of them. Needless to say, when these guys are inside, they pretty much can only see forward, maybe a little bit to the left or right.
In this series, it is by design. If you're going to be overtaken by somebody else, you're a lap behind, you go to the inside of the race course so they can pass you on the outside. It's all Marty Wolf here at Chemberlain, Oklahoma.
And Marty Wolf on the last lap in the A main for the Thunderbolts, trying to hang on here. He's had a perfect run so far.
Marty Wolf with a great ride. See, it's getting a nice smooth carry, goes through those turns. That skid fin rooster tail just flies off of that deck, and he's going to make it a nice cruise here to a victory in the Thunderbolt final.
Boy, he is making it look easy. He got an excellent start as well. It gave him a nice advantage and just charged from there as he heads back for the stripe, looking to pick up the win. Congratulations to Marty Wolf.
The first ever Thunderbolt winner at Chemberlain, Oklahoma.
Awesome stuff here with the ULHRA Pepsi Racing Power Cup Challenge. There's a look at the final order for the Thunderbolts.
Going right back to Chamberlain, South Dakota for some more Unlimited Light Hydroplane Racing Association action. But how about that Kaylee Perkins, 20 years old, and all those guys that were giving her a whole lot of grief now are trying to chase her down. Let's find out if anyone can catch Kaylee Perkins.
This On the Edge telecast has been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world. General Tire, the official tire of living on the edge. And by Graham Trucking, serving the Pacific Northwest. Okay, the A main for the Thunderbolts is in the books. Now it's time for the Unlimited Lights, but we have more developments with the Unlimited Lights coming out of the LCQ involving Will Muncie.
They're suggesting that I encroached on this other team's lane. So, now that they've come to that conclusion and we've decided to professionally disagree with their assessment of the situation, that moves the traffic aid team to a trailing position, which means if one of the 6 boats for the final heat can't start, we can get in and still have a shot. And the traffic aid team will be ready. You know, we came here to race. But that's a substantial difference. It's like the difference between a guarantee and cross your fingers and hope that somebody has some bad luck, which you hate to do, but I hope some other team has some bad luck.
So a tough situation to be in, but you'll take what you can get when it comes to racing. We'll get things started here. There's a look at our lineup for this A main with the Unlimited Light final. Who do you like here, John?
Well, you've got to like Kaylee Perkins. She's off to a great start this year, winning one of the first 2 races. You've also never count out Greg Hopp, the winningest driver in this series. He's also got a victory this year as well.
And it looks like Will Muncie's going to throw the hat in here. The capsule lid is open. He will not have a shot at winning here today.
By rule, since all of the boats are on the course, Will Muncie has to exit the course before the start. J. Craig Fletcher is there in the orange and blue boat. The boat up front, Mike Sadlin, is a little bit early with 8 seconds to go for the start. They want to time it out and be at full throttle when that clock hits 0.
And look at Greg Hopp with the yellow boat closest to your screen right now. He went way wide, hoping he could stay in the throttle, get a big run at this starting line, and we'll see if it works out for him. He does close the gap up. He does have a lot of momentum, but will it work for him overall?
Well, Kaylee Perkins driving one of the best turning boats in this series, along with Greg Hopp, but she's got a couple of lanes inside of Greg as they go down the backstretch, separated by about a rooster tail. Kaylee Perkins, last year, she won the hat trick. She was Rookie of the Year. She was driving champion, and this team, the UL72 Miss Boat Electric, was the series champion, and she's going after her 2nd ever Unlimited Lights victory, and right here at Chemberlain, Oklahoma.
And there's a good look at Kaylee, obviously. You also saw a quick flash of Hopp as he was sailing by on the outside. So he's trying to close that gap, and he's going to make a great run of it right here. He talked about a good turning boat for Kaylee Perkins, and that's what it's all about, those corner speeds and high corner speeds, keeping your line and, of course, maintaining that speed.
Why was Greg Hopp out so far? He is required in a supercharged boat to maintain his starting line lane for a a full lap. Now he can get closer to Kaylee as they head down the backstretch, but Ms. Perkins still with the advantage in the UL 72.
And you mentioned get closer, but again, he will have to be aware of where she's at because he doesn't want to receive one of those encroachment penalties, much like Will Muncie has already received.
Exactly, but Kaylee with the advantage. Greg Hopp, though, driving the wheels off, if you can drive the wheels off of a boat, and he is almost dead even as they hit turn number 1.
Well, I'd say he's done that because there are no wheels on that thing, but he is slowly closing the gap. Kaylee, with the Miss Boat Electric, is hanging on so far, though. She is really flawless. I mean, she just doesn't get rattled. She stays in it. Here comes Hopp, though, right down the straightaway again. Oh, and look at the power out of Kaylee's boat.
And she knows he's there. Kaylee Perkins' radio man is Phil Bonancini, who won 12 races in this boat earlier in his career before he retired. That's a great advantage. But also Jerry Hopp, he's in the ear of Greg Hopp. You've got 4 people talented, all going at it in 2 boats right here.
Going into the final lap, number 1 and number 2. Kaylee Perkins in the red boat on the inside leading and has since the drop of the green flag. Greg Hopp on the outside trying to take it away.
They are approaching back markers. That may make a difference going into the final turn. Kaylee Perkins with the advantage. Greg Hopp on the outside. Kaylee made a great turn. Got a little bit more of an advantage heading up the final backstretch.
In the LCQ, we did see Elizabeth Wolf get a great run off the outside and win this at the last moment. Kaylee will go to the outside lane, though, as she passes lap traffic, and she's going to try to hang on here for the win.
Kaylee Perkins on the inside. Greg Hopp has to go way outside. It is going to be Kaylee Perkins with the win in South Dakota.
What a great effort. Both drivers doing an awesome job. You're exactly right, John. It looked like lap traffic did play a big part of this race. Both drivers had to swing wide or go to the next outer lane to miss the boat in front of him, and unfortunately for Hopp, he had to go way wide. It cost him any shot at winning here today. There's a look at the final results. Congratulations to Kaylee Perkins. She is keeping that championship momentum going. Let's talk to her.
All right, Kaylee, you had a wonderful weekend, won both your heats and then topped it off with a big win. Tell me about it.
Well, this Boat Electric team is unbelievable. You know, they have their stuff together. They've been doing this for a long time, and it's all about consistency, and they are consistently good, and it shows up in my driving. If I didn't have a good crew, I wouldn't be a very good driver.
Giving all these guys a run for their money, right?
I'm doing my best.
We had a great time out here on the Missouri River. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to log on to newwavetv.com to find out where the OTE gang and the Terry's RV are headed to next. For Jean Viev and John Lynch, I'm Ken Stout. Remember, we're not limited by